is it strong to say it's the story that just keeps on giving? Because I look at this update today on the Michigan football cheating scandal, and it's all about Ohio State. There have been salacious rumors floating around the internet for at least 3, 4, 5 days now that center around Ohio State football coach Ryan Day. In fact, even more centered around his brother Chris Day, who happens to be a medical equipment salesperson, which means he sells medical equipment, but he also is a former federal agent who owns an investigation firm. And there were wild rumors today that Chris Day is indeed the investigator who did turn in Michigan to the NCAA. What I can tell you, I spoke to sources close to the situation today who say that is unequivocally just not the truth. We are told today, as we reported last week on the show, that an internal investigation audited, begun by, executed by Michigan administration after the FBI noticed them that they were going to be joining the investigation of former offensive coordinator Matt Weiss and his computer crimes. Michigan is the one who called for and enacted an investigation into the state of the football program. We were told again today that they hired an outside investigation firm that was not the same firm as Chris Day owns. It was, in fact, a different firm who did investigate and found evidence of a massive cheating operation, allegedly found evidence on the computer systems in the Michigan football department, and did not have a choice because they are a state licensed operation. They have what's called a fiduciary responsibility, an ethical obligation to report Michigan to the NCAA when they find something like that. I am told that is, in fact, how Michigan was turned into the NCAA. But interestingly enough, as an offshoot to that, I was told today that Michigan is quite frustrated in its athletic department because they have not been able to plug the leak of information that continues to give updates, and very clearly accurate updates, to the media, and more importantly to the NCAA and anybody really who's looking for it. There are leaks inside of the Michigan athletic department, allegedly, that have created friction and frustration. They have created a sense of unwillingness in terms of communication, trust, the relationship from staff to staff member. It was described to me today by sources. So it does not seem like things are going well at Michigan. But I can tell you, as far as my sources are telling me unequivocally, Ryan Day had nothing to do with turning Michigan into the NCAA. Jake, are you buying that?
Yeah, I am buying it. I think that, it's an easy angle to play if you're a Michigan fan, to say that Ohio State had it out for you and that Ryan Day, is working behind the scenes to somehow get you in trouble. But I think that grossly underestimates the job that Ryan Day is tasked with in the day-to-day. You're just assuming that this guy's got all kinds of time to consider the best ways to get after Michigan, other than simply beating Michigan on the field every single year, which they had except for the last two. So I just think it's unnecessary to put Ryan Day in that type of light unless you have proof that he did this, which at this time there's nothing to say that or suggest that he would have done this or Ohio State's involved in it. That's just not the case. And I think, what's hard for Michigan right now is that, this was, your own doing, essentially, right? As he just said, right? The FBI notices you, then you got to do your own investigation and audit. And so what happens? Well, you don't want the answers to the questions, right? So seemingly you look into your program, which you didn't want to do. And as soon as you start looking into the program, you find stuff that is not good for you. And I think that's what's really difficult to handle here. And I'm glad that Ryan Day is not involved. I think that Ohio State, is on a nice run here of not having, huge issues in the program. Obviously, they've done a good bit of winning here. So I just don't want this to, I would like this to stay as close to Michigan as possible. It pains me that whether it would be Ohio State or Central Michigan or any other program, it pains me that other programs would be involved in this whole situation. And that's what's what's difficult. When I look at where this situation and this story is going, I think about, man, like it's one thing just to sort of tarnish your own program and your ethics and your image. But then once you start looping in other institutions into that just changes the whole thing.
But this goes back to the Central Michigan situation we're going to talk about in a minute. I mean, you look at the damage that was done, and if we believe the rumors about Michigan's sign stealing operation, lock, stock, and barrel, you look at Ryan Day's legacy at Ohio State's been damaged by that scandal. If we extrapolate out that Michigan knew all the signals at Ohio State the last 2 years, because let's be honest, Jim Harbaugh had not beaten Ohio State. Jim Harbaugh had not won a game of significance as the head coach at Michigan. And all of a sudden, he goes on this run where he's almost unbeatable, including at the shoe in Columbus, which he goes and he wins, right? So you look at Ryan Day's legacy and his track record, it was clearly damaged if it is in fact true that Michigan has a sign stealing operation. There's no question that everybody else in this conference was damaged. There's no question that if in fact they had football interns scouting future college football playoff opponents, the ethics and the integrity of the college football playoff may have been damaged. Now, we already know that TCU got wind of this and essentially made a mockery of it, but that doesn't change the fact that it happened.
Right.
And that's why I think it is so critically important that we understand the truth here. And it almost doesn't matter to me how the NCAA found out. They found out. But I think it's really easy. And I'm going to guess that the 50 some odd people who sent me this message board post and about Chris Day and Ryan Day and come on. And it's our job to go and fact check that. It is our job to say, hey, we need to know how this went down. I don't believe for one moment that Ryan Day was involved with an investigation outing Michigan as a cheater. Because one, everybody already knew it. It was an open secret. Somebody, though, went directly to the NCAA. And again, I would just go back and say, what was the genesis of the information? It was information discovered on Michigan's computer system. How is Chris Day going to get access without committing a federal crime to Michigan's computer system?
Yeah, he's not.
He's not. And when you have the FBI, and this is why I believe my source, this person that I speak to has been nails for us, right? The FBI, as it was described to us, called Michigan and said, hey, we're noticed Michigan by written letter, not called, noticed Michigan by written letter. We're coming in to investigate computer crimes against a member of the football department, former OC Matt Weiss. And we want you to know that this is ongoing and we are going to be there. And as we were told, that triggered an internal investigation by an outside firm. And I was told it was a law firm. I wasn't able to corroborate that. But I was told a law firm used their investigators to do an internal investigation of Michigan's football team, including all of their computer work. And that's how this was discovered. And when you use the word, and the terms were very clearly used, fiduciary responsibility. You have an ethical, license-based responsibility to turn over the evidence of major infractions to the NCAA to the point where if you do not do that, your license can be called into question. It makes perfect sense. If you're a law firm, you employ investigators. All of those people are licensed in the state of Michigan. I believe that's how this happened.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the timeline makes perfect sense. The flow makes perfect sense. And I just think, you know, this Ryan Day Ohio State situation or just angle, not even situation because there's nothing really to it, just this angle that people have come up with is a distraction, in my opinion. I think this is, Michigan defenders' way of kind of getting off of the true path, which
I believe it's a complete fabrication.
Yeah.
I think it's what you were saying earlier today, not to paraphrase, but it's a message board.
Yeah.
You're not going to believe what you read on a message board.
No, and I think that we've seen through this whole deal that obviously people and when I say people, mostly fans, and I'm sure there's administrators and other people who look at message boards. We know that that's happened, but message boards tend to fuel the fan base.
Absolutely.
We tend to get, oh, this dude posted on what was it, the Vols message board that his brother's second cousin, twice removed and fifth time married person, knew him, and that's why that's what we do on message boards. And so this Ryan Day thing is a fabrication, and I think that it's being fabricated to distract people from the story, which is, hey, Jim Harbaugh and company got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and now they're having to deal with that. And we don't even know how bad the computer FBI portion of this is yet.
Right.
We have no idea, just how deep those crimes go.
Well,
so that's what's scary.
They're being described as multiple victims across state lines, I believe is the verbiage. I mean, they've been involved for a month. The FBI has been involved in that investigation, which is confirmed by the University of Michigan Police Department for over a month. This is a big deal. And again, this is why I go back to Michigan fan. Why are you fighting tooth and nail to keep Jim Harbaugh? Help me understand that. Because as I've described, I think every day for 2 weeks now, he is admittedly guilty of level 1 and level 2 violations of his own doing because he self-imposed a 3-game suspension. So he's admitted that level 1 violation is the most serious violation, where he was dishonest with the Committee on Infractions and the investigators looking into his activities during the COVID dark period.
The coronavirus.
Level 1 violation, admittedly. Level 2 violations, again, that he admitted to. Using a phone and Zoom to watch a workout. Overworking coaches. Meeting with recruits in person. He's admitted to that because they took a 3-game rip for it to start the season. Okay, in and of itself, yeah, it's probably not that big of a deal. Take a suspension. Give us some of your money back. Let's write you an extension that makes you the highest paid coach in the history of God. Right? Okay, great. Well, yeah, but there's that whole thing about Matt Weiss and the FBI investigation.
Well, I thought you said the FBI.
Well, but Jake, it is the FBI, but let's not forget Jim didn't know. It doesn't matter if he didn't know. Like Dave Portnoy from Barstool, who's a huge Michigan backer, is like, well, Jim Harbaugh has plausible deniability. That's what they've been saying in defense. There's no such thing as plausible deniability when it comes to college football coaches. You didn't know, you're fired because you were supposed to know.
And I just think it's such a naive take to say that you didn't know, whether it was your coordinator with this computer FBI thing or whether it was the sign stealing operation you were running. Don't tell me you didn't know, man. I know you knew about this.
Yeah,
and you're right. Even if you didn't know, you're still responsible. But I'm not going to go that far because I don't need to. Don't tell me you didn't know, man.
Yeah, and I think you guys know by now on this show, everything for us starts and ends with the evidence. And the evidence is not in question. And then you throw on top of this whole thing, hey, this sign stealing operation. I just ask again, if you're a Michigan fan, why are you fighting tooth and nail? Why are you dying on the Jim Harbaugh hill? You're Michigan. You deserve better than this. Why are you fighting for this guy? Because I personally don't understand it. As a Notre Dame fan, I would never accept this from Marcus Freeman, anybody. I would never accept this. You would have to go.
Our mother.
I think on the level 1 violation on itself that you got caught and then you lied, you would have to go if you were the head coach at Notre Dame.
But that's why this is so incredible, because Jim obviously has been a Michigan guy his whole life. Jim is regarded as Superman around that place. And they're just so desperate to I guess protect themselves. I'm still baffled at this extension situation. I mean, I understand you need to get better verbiage into the contract. I get that logic. But what I don't get is why you're continuing to keep this guy around, because so you would rather extend him and include fresh language that gives you outs and basically protects you in the event something like this happens again.
Saves you money.
And you want to take that punch on the chin from the NCAA, which I don't understand. Why not fire the guy, or, however you want to handle it, and move on, save face?
I think there is no question, if Jim Harbaugh is, when this season's over, if we get to spring football and Jim Harbaugh is still the head coach at Michigan, I believe he will be suspended for the entire season next season. I think the NCAA will hammer Michigan for that level 1, that level 2, and I don't believe that it is going to take long for this sign stealing investigation. You cannot convince me that's a year-long investigation.
No way.
Because the evidence is there. The operatives. You already have the people who were scouting the games talking in the NCAA. You already have the NCAA investigators on campus. I think he will be suspended at a minimum for next season. And I just don't believe that he will stay there. I think that Michigan is doing this contract extension. If in fact that is the case, and I have no reason to believe it's not, if they're doing this contract extension, they are doing it to protect themselves. And I think everybody just writes it off as, oh, it's a huge raise. And Michigan doesn't care about how much they're paying Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
They care about how much they will have to pay him if he leaves.
Yeah.
And currently they do not have, I am told by people that I have spoken to, Michigan does not have language in his contract to protect himself outside of a morals clause. And if that is in fact the case, you have to redo his deal, because if you do not have language in his contract that says, if you commit level 1 violations, we have the right to terminate you for cause and we owe you nothing. Now, I also understand that 9 out of 10 coaches are never going to allow that to be put in their contracts. And when you're first out of the gate, Jim Harbaugh is not going to allow that to be put in his contract at Michigan when he first gets the job. But now, does he have a choice? They're saying, we'll make you the highest paid coach in the history of the Big Ten, because that's what's on the table here. We'll make you the highest paid coach ever in the Big Ten, but we're going to have some stipulations in there. We're paying you money. You're going to pay us with behavior.
Y'all feel me?
And the biggest question is, and I think why this is taking longer than people thought, you can't tell me that Jim Harbaugh is just going to be like, yeah, sure, okay, level 1 violations, yep, you can terminate me for cause. He's already admitted he committed level 1 violations. So how do you handle that? Okay, well, any further level 1 violations, any further significant NCAA violations, and are you really telling me you're writing into your head coach's contract, if the FBI is on campus investigating your football program, we have the right to terminate you for cause? I mean, that's the level of ridiculousness that we're at. So again, not to be an asshole about it, but I'm just asking again, why are you fighting for this guy? That's what I'm struggling with. It should just be, level 1 violations. Yeah, maybe we ought to look elsewhere. Michigan fans not there. FBI. Nah, maybe we level 1 and FBI. We should probably look elsewhere. Michigan fans not there. Massive cheating operation. We should probably, but the FBI, in that level 1 thing, nah, Jim's great. Jim's great. I want new khakis. Screw it.
Come on.
It's bizarre to me. You are Michigan. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Hold yourself to the standard that you so boastfully exude and talk about and describe.
Well, maybe they do. I mean, maybe in their opinion, his college football playoff appearance is that standard. I mean, maybe that's
what it is. Two years in a row.
And I agree. But maybe they're saying, hey, you're taking us to the college football playoff. All right, cool. You can do your job, but you just got to do it cleaner. Maybe that's what they're saying. I disagree with that wholeheartedly, right? Obviously. But I'm just trying to understand, hey, what's the logic for continuing to put up with the nonsense, right? It's like, it's like the employee that's always breaking stuff around your business. Like, dude, you didn't need to break this and break that. And dude, what if I came to you and said, I got to take that out of your check? You probably wouldn't be breaking stuff anymore,
right?
What
if I told you?
Right? So that's what I'm saying. It has to be that they feel like he is just so successful and that winning a national championship at Michigan is such a rare feat for them that they would rather have a coach who admittedly is troubled and scandal-ridden, but in the college football playoff somewhat consistently, than have a coach that maybe wins the Big Ten, loses in the bowl game, doesn't make the college football playoff appearance, but it has a great track record of a clean program.
I wonder if it is Jimmy's ties to Bo Schembechler. That has to be what it is. I mean, listen, growing up as a kid of the 80s in Chicago, Bo Schembechler was a god. I mean, I went to high school with a kid named Martin Ramirez. He and his family played football at Michigan. Like, I remember the importance of the wings on the helmet. I remember I get what Bo Schembechler meant to Michigan fan. But are you not doing Bo Schembechler a great disservice with this nonsense? We're talking about the FBI, dude. We are talking about the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Come on. What are we doing? And then there's this whole Jim McElwain thing at Central Michigan. I need my buckshot first.
Yeah, I
got to tell you. Hook it up right now. More of you, less of us. Your comments,
Yeah.
As always, presented by our good friends at BuckedUp. BuckedUp.com, the official energy provider of the Monty Show.
Yeah.
I had a panic attack this morning. I realized that I was out of buckshot in the studio refrigerator.
This is a code 10 abort.
And after I was done crying in pain and soul searching from the fetal position on the floor,
crying like a little girl,
I said to myself, okay, no worries. We can get to BuckedUp.com. The only problem was we've sold so much buckshot for BuckedUp.com that they are sold out of blue raz. So
for real.
We are on to the watermelon. You guys, you know what buckshot is? Have you found it yet? Dudes, you got to get it. It is the single greatest energy shot that is on the market today for two very good reasons. They use elite ingredients to make an elite product that does exactly what they tell you it's going to do. You look at all the other energy shots on the market that are full of, manufactured caffeine and sugar and colors and artificial ingredients. No, friends. 200 milligrams of naturally sourced caffeine with a whole bunch of brain food that gives you the energy and the mental clarity you need to get through your day. There are no spikes. There are no drops. You just feel more energized. You're thinking more clearly. That TPS report, the pivot table, the Excel spreadsheet, the budget, the end of month closing, the conference call, the meeting, the drive home. Maybe you're a trucker. We have so many truckers that listen to the show. Thank you for keeping America moving. Thank you to our Amazon drivers. Thank you to our FedEx and mail people. That's who Buckshot's about. So just hook it up, drink it, and you're going to feel great for the rest of your day. Cheers to you, friends.
Do it.
There it is, ice cold. Buckshot from Bucked Up, the official energy provider of the Monty Show. In the description of the show below, there's a link to get 6 free Buckshots. Supplies are limited because we moved. Do you guys understand? We moved hundreds of samples last month.
I'm for real.
October was a massive month for us moving samples at Bucked Up. Let's do it again in November. Go hook it up. Get in the description below. Get the link for the free samples of Buckshot. And I would also tell you, never forget, if you want to go get your Buckshot at BuckedUp.com, as I did today, use the promo code Monty to save 20% off. You're looking at about, on a per case basis, you're looking at about $20 a box for Buckshot, which is a phenomenal price. It's usually $32. Go hook it up, BuckedUp.com. And if you need pre-workout, whey protein, your creatine, I am all on board with the 6-point creatine.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
What
now,
do you bet?
I assume that because I take creatine, that I'm going to be able to hit a golf ball 600 yards this weekend.
Right,
I mean, do you even lift? Yeah, I do, bro. Get it at BuckedUp.com. Let's get to, before we get to the Central Michigan update today. You guys. I'm sorry. Comment. Jack says Ollie Gordon gets bucked up before every carry.
Damn.
You know, he's the greatest running back. The first comment out of the gate today is Ollie Gordon. It's
Stay on brand, guys.
It's remarkable. Big shout out to Aaron Wilson. Gift to the Monty Show membership.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Make sure you guys get in the membership. It is your best way to win our trip for two to see the Raiders and the Vikings. Jaron Hall, BYU alum, starting quarterback for the Vikings. He'll be in Vegas with the Vikings against the Raiders. We've got a pair of tickets for you thanks to our friends at Sound Sleep Medical. Get the membership and donuts. Time flies. Good times. Can you guys believe that it is November 1st, and that means End Donuts has been a member for 7 months?
Oh, okay.
Let's go. Look at you guys supporting the show. Really appreciate that. You guys are amazing. Elks 70.
Yeah, nice antlers.
Yeah, nice antlers, bro.
Yeah.
Zach Smith started that rumor last week on his YouTube show to troll Michigan fans, and it worked. Scamweb at 247 ran with it. Never heard of. I don't know who Scamweb is. I have never heard of any of them. But that's cool. But I'll tell you, a ton of people sent it to me, so I'm sure they made money on it. And we got a no comment from Christopher Day. So we're always going to investigate comments like that. We're always going to investigate stories like that. Maybe we were on a wild goose chase. I don't know. Ryan Willie for $5. In my opinion, the college football playoff, Big Ten, NCAA want Michigan in the playoff because it's about the money. Well, I mean, to a certain extent, it's about the money. Look at the Week 9 TV numbers. Not a huge number this week, right? Nobody in the 8, 9, 10 million range. But you look at the big brands, Georgia and Florida on top, Ohio State against Wisconsin drew 4.87. Right. But if you look down this list, who's not there? Who's not there? Well, that would be Michigan is nowhere near the top. I mean, Colorado again, third with 4.6 million.
You know,
Oklahoma giving their season away in front of 3.6 million. Look at Penn State, 3.4 million. Well, Michigan wasn't there because they were on bye. And the numbers are lower. Right. I mean, there's no way to deny that. That's my point. Look at Florida State all the way down at 2 million. Look at BYU in Texas at 2.38. Hit Notre Dame at under 2 million. You know, you look at the big brands. When Michigan doesn't play, TV viewership is down.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt.
That's why. And you know, Ryan, I think you're right. They make money for their TV partners. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all that they want Michigan on television at all. Mark Thorpe, a member for 3 months.
Hey.
Let's go, Mark Thorpe. Says, keep up the good work, gentlemen. Appreciate you, Mark. Thank you very much. WTF Craps became a YouTube member.
Let's go.
Hook it up. Off to a good start today. I'll tell you guys, when you're a member of the show, we're always going to hook you up. You know that you are always going to get access to our content first. If you join our members-only Instagram group, you find out about things first. If you are like WTF Craps, who is a entry-level member, that means all his comments get highlighted and read before our non-members on the show. You know, our comment section has gone to subscribers only because that's what a lot of our members asked for. So that's what we did. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, you can't comment, but you always get asked questions like that. So WTF Craps, we appreciate you. Turd Ferguson.
So, dude.
Michigan also didn't play. That's correct. That was my point. Let's see. Blyberg. Zach Smith is the former wide receiver of Ohio State. Oh, okay. That's cool. Phil Venzer. Phil, how are you? You want to come down and watch the Raiders? Sell your tickets and go watch a strip show. More offense. We have to talk about that because Josh McDaniels got whacked. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. Jeff Woodward, that will finally get you to feel like a winner, Dakota. What did Dakota say? Good Lord. Dakota's been on a run lately. I just had a blood raz filled with the blood of Kansas. The blood of Kansas. Rock chalk blood talk.
Yeah.
Okay. It didn't really flow the way that I had hoped. Kevin the Destroyer, what's up? Boy, tough week, OU. Santa Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for the membership. How much you bench? It's funny you asked that. Jake and I have been talking about, do we want to go back to 225?
What do you bench?
Do we want to get back to 3 plates at 15 reps? I don't feel the need to lift heavy like that. I'd like to get back to 325 or 225 rather. That'll be my max ever. So, Jared, guys, that literally was a troll job created by Zach Smith. I don't believe it was a troll job. I don't believe that's what that was. And I don't know Zach Smith, obviously, but Ohio State fan is red ass fan. Like, I can tell you Ohio State fans didn't take it as a troll job. And by the way, if you're a former wide receiver at Ohio State, be better than a troll job.
Seriously.
And this is the problem with, and we talk about this a lot on the show. So this isn't just whoever this Zach Smith guy is or whatever. This is the problem with everybody having a podcast, and all of a sudden everybody's a source. And Zach Smith probably doesn't know Ohio State football from a hole in the ground. I have no idea. I would hope that he would be more ethical than a troll job and making up stories, because it drives me crazy that you work really hard to build a show and people are like, oh, you're just a podcast. And it's like, yeah, essentially guys like Zach Smith ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah.
So if you're expecting me to be like, hey, great job, Zach Smith, you're on the wrong show, because I think it's incredibly unethical. I think it's embarrassing. And I think it's very telling about how much Michigan is in the head of Ohio State right now. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah.
Any doubt about that at all. Spangler, what's up? I looked at the new Big 12 schedule today. I don't see Kansas losing for 3-4 years. We'll talk about that coming up in about 30 minutes. I don't see Kansas ever losing another game, ever. I mean, just looking at their schedule, I think Mark Mangino's towel is the only loser here. Jeff Woodworth. Jason looks like KU's only protected rival is K-State. Correct. As it should be. Let's see. Philip Sprosty. I just wonder how many schools are involved besides Central Michigan and SC.
100%.
Well, let's talk about the Central Michigan thing, because we've done a lot of work on this as well. And I got to be honest with you. I don't believe that it's Zach Stalions. Connor Stalions, rather. Excuse me. I don't believe it's Connor Stalions. Somebody's going to have to give me concrete evidence now, because it just doesn't make any common sense that a guy like Jim McElwain is going to expose himself to this kind of danger for Connor Stalions. It makes no sense to me that everybody was like, oh yeah, those are those Ray-Ban sunglasses that record, when clearly they were not. And people were photoshopping blue dots onto Ray-Ban sunglasses. I have a hard time believing, as much as that appears to be Connor Stalions in those pictures, I don't believe that a guy, the credibility, the professional, the experience of Jim McElwain would allow this to happen in his program. And you can sit here and tell me, well, he didn't know, like a water boy, one of the administrators. It doesn't matter. Jim McElwain's responsible. I have a real hard time believing that this is Connor Stalions. Now, you know what the other problem here is? I have a real hard time believing it's not. Because if it wasn't Connor Stalions, where's Jimmy, the, special teams coach's oil change guy at Jiffy Lube?
Hey, guys.
Who happened to be on the sideline and looks just like Connor Stalions, standing up and being like, hey, that was me, dude.
Me?
Where's the water boy? Where's the guy who won the pass because he's a 4.0? Where is it? If this is not Connor Stalions, where is the dude that it is? Because he would come forward. Because if this is Connor Stalions, Jim McElwain's in real trouble at Central Michigan. I mean, real trouble. Because that would be a breach of just about every ethical level in coaching. The idea that you allowed Connor Stalions to stand on your sideline and steal Michigan State's signals, it's unthinkable.
Facts.
It's unthinkable. He would resign, I believe, if this is Connor Stalions. And if he doesn't resign, I believe Central Michigan would fire him. It's that much of an ethical breach to have Connor Stalions on the sideline. And man, I'm telling you, I just don't believe it was him. I know. It looks like him. It talks like him. It walks like him. It smells like fish. It's Connor Stalions. But I'm telling you, I believe in Jim McElwain. I cannot believe that he would risk everything that he has earned to put Connor Stalions on his sideline, but he didn't help my argument last night after his game.
Before we go any farther, we've obviously are aware of a picture floating around with the sign stealer guy. Our people are doing everything they can to get to the bottom of it. We're totally unaware of it. I certainly don't condone it in any way, shape, or form. And, I do know that his name was on none of the passes that were let out. Now we just keep tracing it back and try to figure it out. But it's in good hands with our people. And again, there's no place in football for that.
Yeah, but the problem with that, Coach, when he says, well, his name wasn't on any of the passes that were handed out. You know what's wrong with that? They were on the road. So they weren't hard cards, as they're called.
Right.
Season-long credentials. They were paper, generic credentials that simply said VB, Central Michigan, Michigan State. And what happens is Michigan State prints up like 50 of those things and puts stickers on them, and they hand them over to Central Michigan. And Central Michigan hands them out. And they are supposed to be for sideline personnel only. So the idea that there's a pass list or that somehow Connor Stalions' name would be on a credential, that's just not how this works. Connor Stalions as an employee, yeah, okay, he'd be on the list, but he doesn't work for Central Michigan. So my point is, if this truly was Connor Stalions on the Central Michigan sideline, and again, I know, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck and wears sunglasses and looks like a Michigan football analyst, it probably was.
Yeah.
Right? And it's really difficult to look at these photos you're looking at now and say, yeah, no, that's not Connor Stalions. Yeah, you know what? That is Connor Stalions. Man, I mean, the goatee, I would be shocked if this was Connor Stalions.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that Jim's got working for him here is, as you said, it was a road game. And, Connor Stalions knows people. And I'm telling you,
and he has talked about the fact he knows people.
And this is why I'm concerned. This is not just something that happened on Central Michigan's sideline. I have to wonder, how many other schools did Connor do this with if this was him? And in my opinion, that 100% is him. And
you have no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. I think it looks just like him. His build is similar. They're facially, it looks the same. Like that looks like the same guy to me, man. And I think, for Jim, I agree with your logic. Hey, if this wasn't Connor and they had the opportunity to come out, just adamantly deny it, hey, that wasn't him, that was this guy, then we'd have heard that. But they haven't done that. And he refused to say his name, damn well knowing what his name is. He said sign stealer guy. So to me, whether you want to look at overlays like this, whether you want to look at pictures, whether you want to look at the video from the broadcast where Connor Stalions is shying away and looking like a scared dog on the sideline and standing out like a sore thumb, it was him, in my opinion. So that's why I say, I agree that Jim should have known who's on his sideline, but I also agree we've never seen anything like this before. We've never seen someone as capable as Connor Stalions was. So if it came out tomorrow that Jim truly, if it could be proven that Jim truly had no idea who the hell Connor Stalions was, or that was him on the sideline doing what he was doing, and that Connor got on that VB list, if you will, not that there was a list, but he got one of those passes and was on the sideline, I just wouldn't be that surprised, because again, this is one of those setups where the fewer people that know, the better. So if Connor was like, hey, dude, hey, Central Michigan guy that I've been friends with for however long, hey, man, we're doing this thing, and, I need a VB pass. Can you hook me up? Oh, yeah, dude, no problem. By the way, since we're friends, here's some stuff. Like, come on, dude. I mean, that wouldn't be far-fetched.
Fishing or Fish RN says, how do we get Connor Stallion action figures?
For real. Which edition would you like, the Michigan or Central Michigan edition?
Oh, that's funny. That's funny, RN. Jared Haddle for $5. Zach Smith was the wide receiver coach at Ohio State while they won the national championship in 2014. His grandfather was Earl Bruce. He knows football. But then why be a jackwagon and make up a story? You know football so well. Why are you making up stories? Why are you fabricating stories?
Yeah, this is not something alumni would want to get involved in typically.
Yeah, why would you? Especially Earl Bruce is your grandfather. You're not better than this? You're not like, this is the problem with everybody having a podcast. That doesn't make you credible. It doesn't, because Earl Bruce was your grandfather. Clearly, Earl didn't teach you ethics on not lying and making up stories, if that's truly what this was. And I have no reason to believe that it wasn't. Aaron Wilson gifts another Monty Show membership. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Welcome to the nightmare for $2. Connor Stalions, the Where's Waldo of college football.
Yes.
I mean, I hope this was not Connor. I hope this was not Connor. I mean, seriously, I really,
it's rough.
I don't believe it is. Do you know the level of dishonesty Jim McElwain would have to have in his program to do this? And why would he help Michigan?
Yeah, he wouldn't. And that's why I'm inclined to say I don't think he knew about it. Now,
yeah.
I'm not defending Jim with that. I'm not saying that he's not responsible, because I think he didn't know. He is absolutely responsible. But I'm with you. Jim doesn't have a reason to help Michigan or to beat Michigan State so badly. Like, it's not like you're playing in the national championship game and it's Central Michigan versus Michigan State for all of it. Like, that's not the case here. This is a regular season game that you're going to lose most years. And so you're telling me that one year you got to win it? Like, that's not what this was. So nothing really adds up or makes sense that Jim would have known and Jim would have signed off on this. And I'm telling you, like, I am not going to put anything past Connor Stalions and Jim Harbaugh and what they're willing to do. Because if you're willing to go to other stadiums and do this, if you're willing to recruit in the dark period, if you're willing to have a staffer committing computer crimes, you're willing to do pretty much anything, bro.
And I want you to listen to this, because there's one other point that I think is really relevant about what Jim McElwain says here. And it is on the side of all of you who believe that this is Connor Stalions.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we go any farther, we've obviously are aware of a picture floating around with the sign stealer guy.
What's wrong with that statement? Well, Jim McElwain was the wide receiver coach at Michigan. And I want to say, and I was looking at the staff list for Central Michigan, and I believe that his Mike Zordich, the DB coach, and Jack Costner, the quarterback coach, were all with Jim McElwain at Michigan in 2018. And I was looking at that list, and guess who else is on that list of Michigan football in 2018? Connor Stalions.
Oh.
So when Jim McElwain says...
Now, before we go any farther, we've obviously are aware of a picture floating around with the sign stealer guy.
Bro.
You don't know his name? This is my issue here. Now there's so much doubt that I don't know what to believe. But what I do believe is that Jim McElwain is a really good dude. And I've never heard a bad word about Jim McElwain. I've always heard that he is ethical. I do not know him, but I know that people respect the hell out of him. But you know who Connor Stalions is.
Yeah, you do.
And you're calling him sign stealer guy? Come on, dude. Come on. You and multiple other staff members know who Connor Stalions is because you worked with him in 2018. And I don't care if he was an intern or just some low-level employee. It doesn't matter. When you're in football, it is a family. When you're in a football office, and I'm not trying to mansplain this to you, but when you're in a football office, you are in basically an office, a floor of an office building, and it's all football. At a university like Michigan, you probably have an entire floor that's all football. You cross paths, you talk, you're in meetings together. They know who Connor Stalions is. So I as I said, I'm going to err on the side of I can't believe Jim McElwain would do this. But man, it's awfully hard to turn a blind eye to this.
Yeah, I mean, that point you just made is pretty damning. I mean, it's
very difficult to turn a blind eye to this.
Yeah, you spent time on the same staff together, and now he just allegedly, a guy that looks just like him, right?
Yeah.
Shows up, and you're not adamantly denying it. So, and by the way, when I watched the video, I noticed how much he stutters before he says sign stealer guy, which is an obvious tell.
Well, and a lot of people pointed that out. I think that's a really good point.
You know, before we go any farther, we've obviously are aware of a picture floating around with the sign stealer guy.
Yeah, that's tough to.
Yeah,
that's a good point. A lot of people have pointed that out, but I mean, he knows Connor Stalions.
Yeah.
So
this is the question I've brought up before with this whole thing. When this whole thing first came out, what's the deal? What is the deal that either Jim has with Jim Harbaugh or the two schools have together? What is the trade of services, right? Like, so is it as simple as, hey, yeah, we'll help you beat Michigan State because we have their signs, but we need our guy on the sideline for that. And he needs to be in coach's gear and, needs to look clean cut. Is that the deal, or was it monetary? I'm telling you, there's something there.
I don't know. I don't know. What I can tell you is, and I've tried to find people to say bad things about Jim McElwain, and nobody has a bad thing to say about him. And the guy's been around football for a gazillion years.
Yeah, he seems like a guy that would never do this on his own.
I don't think he would.
He seems like genuinely, he seems like a good dude.
Well, and look at Boyd Lake's point. This is what I said earlier. Bring the fucking guy who was Connor Stalions. Excuse my French, but bring me the guy who was not Connor Stalions. If that was not Connor Stalions at Central Michigan, bring me that guy.
Yeah.
Produce the witness.
I want it.
Or you're guilty.
I can get you a Connor Stalions.
Yeah. Whoa. Like, I mean, listen,
bro, this is my
landscaper's kid. Dream of a lifetime.
Bro, this is citizen Connor Stalions standing next to FBI agent Connor Stalions, dude. Come on. Like, we know it's you, dude. Come on.
Produce the guy that wasn't Connor Stalions.
I mean, what is the delay? Is he having to grow facial hair so you can try to mimic it?
Yeah, he's out of pocket right now.
He's sick. Okay.
Coach, what do you mean by that? Well, when I say out of pocket, he's on the run. Nobody could get in touch with him. Yeah, he's 6 feet under Bo Schembechler, right? Like,
and pardon me.
Come on. I mean, like, what are we doing? What do we do? OG Gary, quote, say his name.
Yeah, dude. Like, what are we doing, man?
Exactly right. Josh Holt, I am in disbelief that the sign stealer guy was on CMU's sideline. It's so bad if he is. And again, I don't mean to keep repeating what Boyd Lake said. Produce the guy.
Is it really that outlandish with what we know they've done already? Is it really that outlandish?
I maybe not. Maybe not. Ferris Khan. Actually, the most logical conclusion is that Stalions is just smart enough to pull this off, but dumb enough to not cover his tracks well enough. He's a lone wolf.
That's what I'm saying.
Do we still have the UT message boards?
Yeah,
yeah,
right
we
there.
do. Look, and you guys remember this. We showed you this last week. I'll go back to this one here. Look at December 1st, 2022. And just look at what the guy says. One of my little brother's friends is a scout for them, Michigan. They paid him to travel to UT Vandy to try and steal our signs. So he's like telling his friends, hey, I'm going to be in town. Let's play some ping pong.
Hey, you guys want to have a beer?
Yeah, I'm going to the game to steal UT signs, but that doesn't mean we can't play beer pong together.
Yeah, and every time you make it in the cup, I'll tell you which sign I have.
Oh!
Yeah.
So I said, yeah.
It hurts my brain, dude. It absolutely hurts my brain that you're looking at a situation where this is just so.
I'm just telling you, stop being surprised.
Yeah.
Stop being surprised.
And he says, how about the Nike PEs on CMU staff members when everyone wears Adidas? There were several, and I think this is a stretch. There were several members of the Central Michigan staff wearing what they describe as Michigan shoes. Connor Stalions did not have on Adidas. In the pictures I've seen,
Excuse me, it's sign stealer guy.
Thank you. Sign stealer guy did not have on Adidas. Central Michigan is an Adidas school, and all the Adidas coaches you saw around there were wearing Adidas shoes. Connor, and they've come up with other pictures, but again, I don't trust internet people. Zach Smith at Ohio
Sleuths.
State lying and producing, like the people that were putting out what was clearly altered pictures of these sunglasses with a blue dot. Come on. My point is that there was all this talk about how Michigan's a Nike school and they get PEs, and look, those are Michigan. Okay. I'm not doing that. His the face, the ear bent. People went to the extent to measure his ears, arms, shoulders, and legs.
Can you measure it?
And say he's the exact same guy. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable to me that this is where we are. I don't know. Jeff Woodworth, sign stealer guy, the next head coach at Michigan. Well, he has, and Connor Stalions wrote a Michigan manifesto. His
The ink
plan,
isn't dry yet.
he called it a manifesto. His plan to rise to the top of power at Michigan.
Make Michigan the new standard.
It's wild to me. Johnny Gonzalez, you go troll for clicks when I scroll for chicks. Come on, guys. This is first world problems here. I know. AAR. Oh, whoa. Comment dump. I lost that comment. I apologize. Josh Holt, the documentary they make about sign stealer guy will be better than the Manti Te'o's girlfriend. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, at least
Nothing
sign
is
stealer
better.
guy exists.
Nothing is better. Why do you have to bring up Manti Te'o's dead girlfriend who never existed? Why do a hurtful thing like that? Dakota Tubbs, you definitely can't trust any jagoff with a podcast YouTube machine show unless it's Monty and Jake.
Yeah, come on.
You know, Bryce Martin, the Russians have found their way in. Okay.
Wow.
Now, look, Pooty, if we just go to the Michigan football office and use their mainframe, I mean, we can conquer the world.
You just gave a gift to the Russians.
I know it's Jim Harbaugh and he's Superman, but, you know,